Welcome to episode 19 of the Artist to Artist podcast. My name is Angie. I am your host. I am a full-time freelance makeup artist, and I'm also a makeup artist educator. And this episode is all about overcoming obstacles. Last week on the Artist to Artist Instagram account, I put up a poll and I asked you, what is one thing that is holding you back in your career? I got a lot of great responses. So for those of you who did respond to the poll, a lot of the content in today's episode is going to be based off of the answers that I received to that poll. We know it takes a lot to succeed as a makeup artist. And a lot of the challenges that we have to face and overcome as makeup artists may not seem as common as they are. So I'm hoping today is going to be helpful with that. If you're a new makeup artist that's starting your career, if you have reached a roadblock, or something major is holding you back, I am hoping today's episode is going to be helpful for you. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, hello, I'm back on YouTube. I am going to include the link to my YouTube channel in the show notes. If you have any questions for me about this episode, put them in the comments and we can continue the conversation there. I was hoping to have a better filming setup by now, but the last week or two has been insane. I've had a lot of crazy jobs, plus bridal season is going strong. So let's hope by next episode, my filming setup's a little better, have some lights, better camera. We'll see how it goes. Let's get into it though, because there is a lot to cover today. So what I wanted to do is first go over a lot of the common obstacles that makeup artists face. I have gone through pretty much all of these myself. My career has been full of ups and downs. You will find a lot of the challenges that you are facing if you're listening to this in your early on in your career. These challenges will likely reappear somewhere down the line. They may take a slightly different shape, but a lot of the ups and downs are kind of going to be consistent. This is not really a job where you coast for any length of time. When times are good, enjoy them. When things are a little bit more difficult, just know that it's part of building a business as a makeup artist. There's a lot of ups and downs in this job. All of the obstacles I'm going to be talking about in this episode, I have dealt with pretty much all of them in one form or another. I think you will find the more you listen to this podcast, as I record more episodes, you will learn more about my career, how I've progressed, the challenges that I face, but I can promise you, I've faced a lot of these obstacles multiple times. It is just part of the job, and this career is not an easy one. And I'm sure by now, if you've listened to me for any length of time, you know that. What I want to do is first list off some of the obstacles, challenges that I'm going to be talking about in today's episode. I think there are maybe 8 or 9 of them. That's how I'm going to start the episode. And then I'll share some tips, some helpful strategies to help you overcome and work through some of those obstacles. So a lot of you were concerned when I did poll on Instagram about the market being saturated. And yes, it is true. We're in an oversaturated profession. Depending on where you live, it's going to be worse than others. I work in Toronto. It's a very oversaturated market. There's a ton of makeup artists competing for the same jobs. So standing out is really a challenge. It requires strategy, branding, continuous work. Being a makeup artist is not only about doing makeup. There is a lot of other things that you need to consider if you're going to build a business. The next thing is imposter syndrome, fear of not being good enough. It's that self-doubt that a lot of us struggle with at one point or another. And I think we will get into a little bit more strategic advice on how to get through this, but I think you have to know that a lot of us deal with this. It comes in waves too. Sometimes you'll be doing really well in your career and you don't feel like this. And then when things are not going so well, you're like, oh my gosh, is it something I did? Am I good enough to do this? Can I sustain a career? Like all of this goes through your head. But I think one important key for you to remember is that we're always aiming for slow and steady, continuous improvement and effort. And it's always about progress over perfection. That's a really important thing to remember when you are working through this industry, thinking about what you have to do. How do you do this when you're looking for that instruction manual, which doesn't exist? Remember, progress over perfection always. So many of you have voiced to me how hard it is to acquire clients and find work and maintain long-term clients. And this is, again, something that you will probably come across at different points in your career. I lost some big clients last year, so I'm in the process of rebuilding. This is a process that takes a lot of time. Building relationships and securing repeat business to sustain yourself takes a long time. And we're talking not weeks, not months. It takes years. And a lot of your client acquisition is related to your hard and soft skills. What I mean by that is it's not only about how you actually do makeup, because you do have to be a good makeup artist, but it's also about the energy that you bring to set, how you interact with people, how you make people feel, your reputation. All of this is tied into how fast you can acquire clients and how long your clients stay with you for. This can be quite a big roadblock. And I'm sure as I'm saying this, you're just like, oh my gosh. But we'll talk through this a little later on in this episode, and I'll hopefully help you figure it out and at least give you some direction when it comes to what you need to work on to find those clients, attract the clients you want to work with. Many of you said to me, Angie, I can't deal with social media. I know it's a necessary evil in our business, and yes, it is, but it can be very overwhelming. The pressure to stay relevant on social, engaged on social can definitely be exhausting. And just a tip before we get into it a little bit later, social media is the highlight reel. It's not at all a reflection of reality. And I don't think there's a lot of social media content that is accurately representing a career as a makeup artist, the industry as a whole. So remember that. That's one thing that will kind of help you work through all that. Many of you were mentioning the physical and mental demands of this job. Our job is a mind-body job, and your health is absolutely crucial to your success. If you're not performing at your best, if you can't physically be somewhere, if you have back pain, if your mental health is not there and you can't stay composed, or you work a job and it's just causing you a lot of mental turmoil, there is no one else to replace you. There is no one else that's going to go out and make that money for you. So the physical side and the mental health piece are very important. And this was a huge roadblock for a lot of you. And I know this also has to do with being on social media. So we'll talk about that. Another big challenge was that this industry is very competitive and you need to stay on top of your game, and you need to stay engaged in your market. You need to know who's doing what so that you can stay relevant. But sometimes this is a double-edged sword as well, and it makes you feel like you're not good enough, you're not doing the job in the way that it's supposed to be done, you're not achieving as much as other people. So there's going to be a lot of mindset shifting that's going to have to happen, and hopefully that'll help you work through with this episode. A lot of you struggle with balancing work and family, and juggling your personal life with this job is tough. And there's going to be times in your life where you have to take care of children, a family member, and you're just not going to be able to work on your business as much as you would like to. And that's okay. It's all about momentum and a little bit of progress as you go. Things are going to happen really quick, and sometimes things are going to be very slow. But it is really just about moving forward. So remember that if you're dealing with this right now, and I have been through this myself, so I know how it can feel like you're not doing anything. And one of the last obstacles we'll talk about in this episode is age being a barrier to entry, which this is another one. If you're older getting into this industry, and I consider myself, I was around the age of 30 when I went full time, that I think is a bit older. There's pros and cons to this. Let's get into these obstacles in a little more detail. So first, you have your industry challenges, which is the market being oversaturated, how to get clients, being overwhelmed by social media, and then just the competition that is so fierce in this industry. Let's start with oversaturation in the market. Yes, we know there's a million makeup artists out there, and how you know is that anytime, or how I know, is that anytime I say, oh, I'm a makeup artist, somebody says, oh, my daughter is a makeup artist. Oh, my cousin's a makeup artist. Oh, I have a niece. It's just like everyone that I speak to has someone in their family that's a makeup artist. That's usually a sign that our industry is a little bit oversaturated. But if you feel like these types of conversations are affecting you, I don't even think about it, because people say other people are makeup artists. Are they actually makeup artists? This is what you have to ask yourself. Are they pursuing this as a hobby? Are they doing it part-time, full-time? There's so many different ways to pursue this industry. You can be in film, you could be in television, you could be doing what I'm doing, which is freelance, a little bit of everything. You could be doing strictly bridal or personal services. There's lots of room for growth and opportunity in the markets that you're in. So I think that's something important to keep in the back of your mind. What is really important when you have a job that a lot of other people are doing is to lean into who you are as an artist and what unique offerings you have. I think the times in my career when I've done this, I've had the best success, and I've always stood out when I really stuck to my guns and did what I want to do. So I think if there is an element of your artistry that you know you're good at, you get great client feedback, or that you really enjoy that is getting you paid at the moment, really focus in on that because there's only one version of you. What you have to bring to the table is going to be different from anybody else. It's unique to you. And that is how you're going to stand out. Really leaning into your personal brand, we'll call it, is a way that you can enjoy what you're doing, stand out in an industry that is a little bit overcrowded at the moment. And I think you will find you'll have this chain reaction of things that happens when you enjoy what you do. You are more confident. You are eager to tell people about what you're doing or show it off more on social media. So there's this whole domino effect that happens when you are kind of really in your zone. And I think it's important to take the steps to think about that and find that. If you're new, you're not going to know what this is right away. It is going to take some time to figure out what you want to do. But for me, when I went full time and I was repped by an agency, the agency sometimes can push you in a certain direction one way or another. And I remember that I needed more editorial work in my book, and the agency was really pushing me on that. And editorial work is not something I ever enjoyed, ever wanted to do, ever had an interest in. And I knew very quickly that in Toronto, editorial work was really not paying all that much for me. It was just not something I wanted, but my agency wanted me to explore this. And I'm really not into fashion. I don't care about fashion in the same way that I care about beauty. And what I cared about was my love for makeup products and color and texture. So I ignored my agency's recommendation and I leaned into doing more beauty shoots. And that was really the start of how you see me as an artist now. That shift is what got me in front of Velour. And, it's been over 10 years and they're still my client. And I have my work appearing in Sephora. I'm working for a beauty brand. These are things that if I hadn't really leaned into what I enjoy doing and what I love to do, I wouldn't have attracted the clients that I have attracted. And the other effects of that were not only attracting beauty-focused clients for just beauty work, but jewelry campaigns, commercial work. And then my brides often show me some of my beauty work as inspiration for their looks. So it really became the thing that I was passionate about. I became known for natural makeup looks. That's why I get hired a lot for the jobs that I do, my ability to work on different skin tones. This all comes from my interest in beauty and showing more beauty work. That's how things evolved for me. And I am working in an oversaturated market. In Toronto, there's a million makeup artists, but I just really leaned into doing what I love to do. And that's what really helped me build my career. People will tell you if you work in an oversaturated market, you have to stand out, you have to have a personal brand. And I know when you're a new artist, you're like, where do I start with this? What does this even mean? But really, it's just about getting in touch with what you love to do, because when you find what you love to do and what area of the industry you like to work in, there is that domino effect that happens and it helps you stand out more because you're just generally happier and more confident and you're willing to share your work, whether it's talking about it with other people or posting on social media. If you feel like there's no hope for you because you're in an oversaturated market, so am I. If you want to do the job, you have to know that standing out in an industry is more than just about your talent. It's about everything else that goes along with doing makeup. So how you market yourself, how you are on the job. It's that trickle down effect that happens when you find something that you love to do, whether it's a specific area in the industry or a specific artistic style that you're working in, that has that trickle down effect to all of the other things. It affects all of the other things positively in your business. And these are the things that are required to really stand out and build a career. I hope that makes sense to you. Client acquisition is the next one. And this is a tough one because you are going to have those ups and downs where you're going to have a lot of clients, probably more than you feel like you can handle. And then clients will go away and you feel like it's over and you're going to be retired. And then clients come back. This is a ride that you kind of just have to stay on for the duration of your career. But I think what's important to know about client acquisition is that attracting clients and building relationships with them takes a really long time. And this is not a weeks or months situation. This is a year's situation because as you develop as an artist and a business owner, you are going to attract clients. You are going to outgrow clients. You are going to find out which clients do not jive with you. And then you're going to have to pivot. This is all normal business practice in this industry. And acquiring clients is not just about who you know. It's about the actual work that you do. So, your talent as a makeup artist, what you are showing on social media about what you have to bring to the table. It's about your network and it's about your reputation and how people perceive you. What I think is important for me to tell you is that there isn't just a checklist of things that you can do to attract clients. It's about consistent effort in all areas of your business. And I always talk about momentum, like don't ever stop working on your business. You have to keep going because sometimes a client will come to you at the most unexpected time in the most unexpected place because you've been working away in the background. That means making sure your skills are there, your makeup looks good, you are sharing stuff on social that is attractive to potential clients, that shows them you can do the work that they want to pay someone to do for their brand or for their company or whatever it is. It's not just about saying the perfect thing in an email or direct message. It's about the reputation you're building with the clients you do have, putting your best foot forward, working on your technical skills, working on what you're putting out there on social media, working on meeting new people, sending those emails and DMs. It's not just one or two things that you have to do. It's about that consistent effort in all areas of your business. Once you work on that, the clients will start to come naturally. But if you are passive or you stop working on those elements of your business, you are going to feel really stagnant or like there's no clients for you. And that's just because you're not putting in the work. Consistent effort into building your brand, nurturing those relationships, reaching out to new people. It's very important for finding jobs and keeping your clients as well. Being overwhelmed by social media, tell me about it. I have a love-hate with social media. It's always been like this for me. I do see it as a very valuable tool. It's something that you have to participate in. You can't not be on social. You don't have to be an influencer by any means. You don't have to be on every platform. You just need to be on the platforms where your clients are. So if you are somebody that is wanting to work in bridal and your brides are obsessed with Pinterest and Instagram, then you need to be actively posting on those platforms. What I think is important for me to tell you and what I hope you hear is that you do not need 1 million followers on social media to be a successful makeup artist. The two don't really work hand in hand. If you want to work as an influencer, different career choice, yes, you need the followers and you need the engagement. If you're just trying to build a business in your market as a makeup artist, freelance makeup artist, whatever you want to do, it's just about making sure you're using your social media to be visible in your market. So showing people you can do the job, showing off your technical skills, showing potential clients that you can do a certain type of work. This is what you use social media for. You may get business inquiries through social, but you do not need 1 million followers to build a business as a makeup artist on social media. And who cares who likes your post or not? It really doesn't matter. Your focus from social is making sure clients who are interested in paying you are going to see what they need from you, because social media really has to be the thing that is sort of like your elevator pitch to potential clients. Does it show them you can do the job? Does it show them the type of work that they would want to see from an artist they're thinking about hiring? Your social media just has to move the needle for your potential clients to say, you know what, I'm going to send this person a DM or an email, or I'm going to get in contact through their social. That's the purpose of social media. It's not for you to get 1 million likes every time you post. It's to cater to potential clients, existing clients. That's really how you need to think of it. And we all know social media is just a highlight reel. It's all full of lies. It's not even close to reflecting what actually happens in the industry, in any individual makeup artist's career. Yes, you see people, and we'll use Makeup by Mario as an example, who are amazing artists. They've built a brand, they've built a business, maybe they're celebrity artists, but these are the lottery winners of our industry. You can have a fantastic career without working on a single celebrity. You can have less than 5,000 followers, and you can build a business that is profitable for you, that you enjoy. You don't need that level of social media stardom to be successful unless that's specifically a goal of your business. That's a different story. But for a working makeup artist, you really just need social to connect with people and put your best foot forward with the work that you're displaying. There was another obstacle that a lot of you could relate to and that a lot of you shared with me. And I think it does have to do with our industry being oversaturated and just all of us being on social media all of the time. And that is that fear of going into a job that is very competitive. And yes, this industry is competitive. I'm not going to lie. There's not a lot of jobs and a lot of makeup artists. But really, what I think will help you cope with that maybe level of pressure is to see competition really as more of a motivation. I do believe that every artist is going to have their own path. And I think where people make a mistake and where I have made a similar mistake in the past was that I was wanting other people's careers when they really weren't meant for me specifically. And I talked about leaning into what you're good at and what you love to do. And once you start doing that, I think you become more confident and you're less worried about other people and you become less worried about how competitive the industry is and all of the pressures because you're just more fulfilled individually and you're happier. So this will come in time. And I think one of the common things you'll hear me say is to have patience with the whole process. Everybody wants everything within 2 seconds. We want everything now, instantly in a couple of months. We want to know that if we cross off, 5 things on the to-do list, we'll be a fully booked makeup artist. This career does not work like that. It is a very slow process. It takes years to get better at makeup, to get confident enough to put yourself out there, work enough so that you're confident, work enough so that you can learn the ins and outs of the industry, you understand your market, you meet people, you build relationships. This all takes time. So to think about not doing the job because you're in a competitive industry, to me, I am telling you from the future, if you continue to work, keep your head down, continue growing your business step by step, little by little, eventually you are not going to feel threatened by other artists because you are going to have carved out your own path in this industry. And I think if you see someone online or you meet somebody and they're making you feel a certain way and you feel like they're in competition with you, or it's making you feel like you're not doing enough, or you wish you're wishing for something that you don't currently have, you need to look at that person as more motivation, and you need to look at that other artist as almost a case study to get information from and to get learning from. Because remember, the job itself is about continuous learning and growth and chipping away at building the business. When you run into people like this, you cannot let them derail you because there are going to be people around you who are better, more seasoned, better liked. Maybe they're younger, maybe they have more connections. But if you let that derail you, you're not going to get very far. And eventually you will be in a position, I promise you, where someone else is going to look at you the way you were looking at that other artist. Someone else is going to say, oh, I wish I had that client. Oh, I wish I got that wedding. Or, oh, this person seems so comfortable and confident. I wish I could feel like that. Remember that as you're chipping away at your business, there are strengths that you're going to gain that are not measurable. You're not going to feel them right away, but there is an evolution that happens throughout your career. If you can shift your mindset to view artists who are maybe more connected, better at the job than you, seemingly doing more as an opportunity for learning and for growth, that's going to be much easier for you to manage. And it's not going to be as derailing as seeing these people as a symbol of like, I shouldn't be here. I can't do this job. It's too much. I'm not going to be better than that person. I'll never be better. There's going to be so many people that are better than you or that are more connected than you or have more, like it's always going to exist. Don't get derailed that easily. Now I want to move on to some of that personal and professional work-life balance thing that I know a lot of you were so concerned about. And the physical and mental demands of this job, if you're concerned about that, you should be concerned. It's a very real concern. I don't think we talk about this enough in our industry. You have to prioritize self-care if you want to have a successful career. If you physically cannot do this job or mentally not able to do this job, you're not going to get very far. So you have to prioritize that. You need to exercise regularly. You need to make sure you're keeping on top of your mental health, whether that means more exercise, going for walks with friends, seeing a therapist, whatever it is for you. And if you can't cut it on a 10 to 12 hour day, if you can't lift your kid up and down stairs, if you can't handle a lot of the stress that comes along with working in this industry, it's going to be very hard for you to be successful, to be profitable. It's going to be hard for you to just enjoy yourself at the job because we're essentially business owners, and everybody knows being an entrepreneur and being a small business owner is an extremely hard job. And we're doing that in a creative industry, which is even harder. And the great thing is about your physical and mental health, if you chip away at it, things do improve. You just have to put the work in. And I think in our case, and this is definitely in my case, I've always been very healthy. But more recently, I've really had to put a focus on my mental health and my physical health because I am getting older. I am slowing down a bit. The 12-hour days are catching up to me a little bit more frequently than they used to. This is something that you can change for the better. It's not like this is an impossible task or an impossible obstacle to overcome. It's just a matter of starting right now and continuing to prioritize this as part of building your business. Balancing work and family, this is a hard one because when you work in a business like this, the lines do get blurred very easily. The funniest thing that people say about this or people's perception of our jobs as a makeup artist is that, oh, you get to work for yourself, you make your own hours. We do not make our own hours. We are often in the position where we cannot turn down work. And when you're in that position, you do not make your own hours. You work when you have to work, whether that is on a holiday, whether that is on an overnight shoot, whether that is 3 long weekends in a row. If you want to build a business as a makeup artist, if you need to put food on the table, you have to work when there's work. And that is a double-edged sword in this industry for sure. You miss out on things. You have a different schedule from most of the population. So your family and friends do have to be understanding. I do think that this is a very real obstacle to overcome, and it takes some figuring out, especially those of you with young children at home, or if you have had a baby or you're taking care of family members. You're going to have situations where you're just going to be missing out on jobs. There's not going to be anything you can do about that. You're going to feel like you're not putting as much work in because you maybe have to care for those family members. You may have to take a break and get a part-time job or a full-time job and then come back to it. It's all part of the journey, and a lot of us are facing these same challenges. And there's times where, you're just going to have to slow down. And I think if you have an awareness of what you need to do to build a business, and I hope that my content in this podcast specifically is helping you with that, I'm giving you the information so you know what to do to build your business back up. If you're having a child or you have a sick family member at home and things slow down, you have the wherewithal and the know-how to get back on the horse, start building your business again. And I think at some point or another, whether you're not experiencing it now, you likely will, you're going to have to take a step back to take care of your family. So this is why finances are important, building those good relationships are important. You have to protect everything that you're putting into the industry, but you also have to protect yourself and the people that you care about. This is why I talk about financial responsibility. I talk about building good relationships, building a great reputation, because all of this is stuff you can't undo. So if you do have to take a step back or slow down or maybe not take as much work, when you are back on that horse and you have the time and energy to build things up again in your business, you know what to do. And whether we want to hear this or not, all of us are going to have times where we might have a sick family member, a child at home. Maybe if you want to have a baby and you're thinking about doing this job, it's challenging to balance those things. And there is a time where your artistry or your career has to take a back seat. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be gone forever, because you will have done all of the work that you needed to do in the first place to build good client relationships, to build a good reputation. And you'll just have to come back and kind of start the process over again. That's something that is completely normal. Just from my own experience, my parents are not in great health. My mom was hospitalized a couple years ago for, I think it was 4 months. And 2 of those 4 months, it was very serious. It was very touch and go for a while. And I couldn't go to work. I needed to be at the hospital. I needed to help my family. I eventually ended up probably working maybe a handful of jobs in that time. It was a huge financial loss, but my career was not over. As she started to improve and I was feeling better about going back and accepting jobs, I just reached out to my clients and started to kind of rebuild things. And this will probably happen more times in my career. This is not the only time this is going to happen. You are going to have responsibilities that pull you away from the job. It's just part of life. And it's not something you need to be hard on yourself about. It just means that you're going to have to prepare yourself for doing a little extra work to get back on your feet. The one thing that came back from the poll as being the biggest obstacle for a lot of you is imposter syndrome and fear of not being good enough. And this really ties back to that mental health piece that I was talking about. You really have to work on your mental health, your state of mind, because you have to have such a strong belief in your own abilities to do this job. That has to be the thing that gets you through, because this career is extremely isolating. You might be a makeup artist that works in film, television, or special events, and you're around other artists quite often. But for a lot of us, I'm the only makeup artist on set. And I don't actually get to talk to a lot of other makeup artists other than the friends that I have when we hang out. So it is very isolating. You lose that community feel that you get kind of with a 9 to 5 job. And then you lose sight of where you are in the industry. I think this has such an impact on how you feel about your abilities and then feeling like you're not good enough. It's kind of natural because a lot of us are just on our own, just out here trying to make things happen, and you don't know if you're doing a good job or not. Not a lot of people tell me, Angie, great job today. You're doing so well. You're so much better than the other makeup artists we work with. You don't hear that quite often. And you don't really get a lot of positive feedback in this job, if I'm being quite honest. It is understandable to me that this is a huge roadblock for a lot of you. What I think will help if you're dealing with the self doubt, the imposter syndrome, is to know that there is only one way to do this job. We all start in the same place. There is nobody that starts, whether they go to school or they're self taught, that starts this job knowing everything. We all fumble around for those first few years. We fumble around on set. We make mistakes. We do terrible makeup applications. We screw up. We embarrass ourselves. All of us have gone through this. And if you're a newer artist and you're looking at other artists being like, oh my gosh, I want this career. I can't wait till I can do this. All of us started in that same place of not knowing what the hell is going on. Even if you graduate from school, most of the time, a lot of the training does not prepare you for real life makeup artistry. This is a job that you have to learn a lot by doing. So know that everybody goes through this. Having a mentor and getting feedback on your work can also help with this. I think this is one of the things that calms a lot of people down and gives you insight into where you're at and what you need to work on. So when you have stuff that you know you need to adjust and fix, you feel more like you're accomplishing something and moving in the right direction. And then those feelings of being inadequate or not knowing what you're doing or thinking people are going to think you're a fraud, they start to go away when you speak with someone who's more experienced. And this is why I do the Q&As every Monday on Instagram. This is why I have one-to-one assessments in my courses, and I allow my students to email me with any questions they have. And I have the community platform in the color theory course, because just the ability to ask a more experienced artist some questions about things is going to ease a lot of that self-doubt, a lot of the stress that you have around your own capabilities, because it just gives you some insight and some advice sometimes, and this can help you overcome those things. And then having your work assessed or critiqued is just a way that you can improve a lot faster than if you're fumbling around on your own. Finding that mentor, finding an artist that you look up to just to be able to ask questions or do, portfolio assessment, or even if there's a makeup artist where you live that you want to speak with, offer to pay them for an hour of their time and ask them a bunch of questions. This will help with all of that imposter syndrome, your self-doubt. It's a great way to really ease some of that stress. I have probably said this before. I don't know if I said it in this episode yet, but I want to remind you that it's all about progress over perfection. If you're just making a little bit of progress each time you work, each day with your business, you're going in the right direction and you're doing the right thing. It's what any artist that you look up to that is more experienced than you or has a career that you eventually want to have. All of us have just chipped away. We've fumbled around. We've made mistakes. We've all done the same thing to get where we are. If you're doing that, you're on the right track. And the last thing, this came up about a handful of times, is age as a barrier to entry in this industry. And I think this is definitely a valid concern. It's a real roadblock. I am going to be 43 this year. I'm finding certain shoot days a lot to handle on my body. I am very healthy. I eat well. I exercise 5 or 6 times a week when I can. I make sure I take care of my mental health. I am doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, and I still find it hard. Taking care of your mental health and your physical health, that will help you get through that. I know people also are concerned about age as a barrier because obviously our industry values youth. It's very important to the beauty industry. But I have to let you know that if you are older, we'll say 35 plus, maybe you feel older, you're 30 plus, I don't know, whatever it is, you're not in your 20s and you want to do this career, there are so many clients that will value your maturity and experience over someone who doesn't have that. I have a lot of clients who are a decade younger than I am who hire me because of my experience, because they know I'm reliable, because of my reputation. So I wouldn't let age discourage you at all. Other than the physical side of things, you do want to make sure you're taking care of your health. But as far as being older in the industry, so many people are going to want an older makeup artist. And I can tell you this from experience. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about in today's episode. If you are currently up against an obstacle, maybe something we discussed in this episode, I need you to know that we all go through this. If you focus on your mental health, your physical health, you continue to be resilient, you continue to chip away at your career, you go to every job positive, putting your best foot forward, you will be able to work through these things and you will be able to build a career as a makeup artist. This is not an easy job by any means. It does take a lot of effort, resilience, grit, all of that stuff. And I'm hoping that today's episode was helpful for you and will help you work through some of these more challenging things if you're going through them right now. And if you aren't, enjoy the good times. The challenging times sometimes are right around the corner, but hopefully this information will help you along the way. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section under this episode on YouTube, or if you have suggestions for a topic for a future podcast, I'd love that. I think that's everything for now. Hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.